Good evening, good evening, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to BeoTalk 296.
That's it.
The week where nothing ever happens and then everything happens all at once.
That's right. Yeah, BNO's known for that, I think, at this
uh,
point of time.
God, I don't have my shillings up, but go buy something at Skinny Play. Use the promo code to get 10% off. Yeah, come join the Discord. We're at, what, 907?
65, I believe.
Yeah,
Is
something
it
like
more
that.
now? Yeah, it's pretty interesting pool of information because now I frequent it more often. And there's a lot of good discussions.
Yeah, I mean, the Be a World Forum is also coming back. They're working on it. I got a little sneak preview, and it's going to be
Mm,
at least a bit more legible, which is nice.
that's good.
Because that sort of light blue with blue front that goes to pink if you click a link is kind of like what?
Yeah, and especially if you have problems with like a color blindness or whatever, sometimes you just can't see it at all.
Yeah, and I was looking on the browser, and I was like, "Is it legible now?" And it's like, "I think so." And then I looked, it's like, "Oh, I have 150% zoom on." Back,
Fudge.
so it remembered it for the site. So I
That's
put it
funny.
back to 100. It's like, yeah, I can't see shit. Like I can, but I'll be reading like.
Yeah. The layout of that website was a little bit sad, over the years, but it was still a great pool of information and resource, that's for sure. Back in the days when, I wasn't a technician, I was basically just a fan and in sales at B&O, I refer to that forum for a lot of different quirks and things that would happen at the time with Masterlink, I guess. But now things get a little more complicated with the installs. But
Well, Masterlink isn't dead yet.
I know it's not actually. I'm very surprised that they had taken that avenue, but also not. I'm surprised that they've taken that avenue on the Beosystem 9000C, that they're just pulling Masterlink into the black box called Beosound Encore, which I am very, very interested in.
I am 99% sure that they leaked that product themselves. God, how many months ago was it? And it had a different name. I think it was like a Beosound transformer or something.
Mm,
Because that's essentially
I
what it
remember
does,
talking
right?
about
Like
that,
it
yeah.
it transforms the master link.
With full control to USB-C output, which makes me wonder, will that work with the theater if you just hook it up directly? This is, by the way, the most beautiful picture of it so far. But I not to criticize, but for 50K US, I think they should have
55.
switched it 55. They should have switched the color of the display to white to match
The
the
light.
LEDs that they've replaced in the platter or in the spindle. So that's one thing. The other thing that I was kind of surprised that, yes, I would understand the master link for the control of it because that's the only way you can. But in the same time, I do not understand why they have not pulled SPDIF out into that Beosound Encore. So you have Masterlink for control of the product and the metadata that whatever that is available in it. If you're doing the radio, I guess for whatever reason you would do that, I don't know. And or the CD names, that'd be cool if it showed up through the uh, through the app. And yeah, I think the lights should have been changed to white, and there should have been an SPDIF out into the transformer encore, whatever you want to call it, for the purest sound that you can get out of that CD. Because now we're riding through a DAC basically that was established in 1996, unless they had changed that inside.
I'm sort of on the verge of like,
Believing
or
that they would have touched the internals.
well, no, I'm sort of teeter tottering between the DAC they used at the time was one of the better ones for CDs anyway,
Yes.
and so is it really a negative? because over master link and over digital, I mean, there is a slight sound change, but it's not huge.
Or is
And
it corrected on being USB-C'd into the theater? I mean, the 28s.
yeah, so in one sense, like if we're gonna like, because CDs are also tech of the time, right?
Yes.
So are we is it really worth complaining about? Also, the DAC is kind of what gives it the B&O sound signature, because the SPDIF doesn't.
Fair enough, but you run your fives through it in an optimum setup and have power link to control the volume only through data.
Yeah.
And they sound better as far as the lap fives. They sound better than going through a power link into the speakers from the CD player itself.
Yeah. When
And
I
that's not a nonsense comment, because that's or a statement, because that's been true for a long time. That was one of their ways to that's how they even recommended it.
mean, but that may be five specific partially, because when I had a 3200 attached over PowerLink or RCA, PowerLink to RCA to my 50s, it didn't sound bad at all. Like, yeah,
No, it won't.
could you get like a few percent more performance out of it? Maybe. Is B&O really that brand for most speakers with 28s, let's say? I don't think so. Like, you can, but will most people do it? No, it's the ease of use, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that still counts slightly higher for B&O than the ultimate sound quality.
I agree completely. But in the same token, I think, well, I guess if the idea was to go for the original sound of the 9000, I agree and respect it. If the idea was to do it just because it's easier and cheaper to do it, then other than pulling also the SPDIF out of that, which is just another cable, right? At that point, they would have made special cables, and I'm sure that at that point, even Steve would have been involved to make a master link with an SPDIF out on the side, and then just go as a one uniform cable to the Beosound Encore, or BeoConnect Encore, because Beosound 5 Encore was a tragedy.
Yeah, the mix of names is a bit.
You know what, guys, you got to start going up with the new bloody names, man. We're circling back to this, like it started off with the Beosound 1. That's where it started, because we already had a Beosound 1. Then we also had a Beosound 2. Thank God there's no Beosound 3 yet, but we had a Beosound 3. So yeah, and I was always told never to question the naming standard, and I understand and respect it, but still, guys, come on, it's just getting a little bit convoluted now. I want those lamellas, the aluminum lamellas, and if B&O is not silly, I think they should just make it a part number with a stupid cost off on it, and it would still be sold.
They
And I
did
think
for
also
the very first editions of the 28s. Was it Black Oak or something?
I think it was dark walnut or something like that. I don't remember, or just walnut they were numbered, one of 28, I guess. But yeah, I'm very curious as to how this app will work, or how does the Beo Remote 1 work with this? Does it control it through the CD? Not sorry, through the speaker. Like, are you Bluetooth connected to the speaker, or are you Bluetooth connected to the BeoConnect Encore, right? With the remote control, because then it can send commands to the CD player, which I'm assuming that little box would also be Wi-Fi or online or something. Or is it pushing all the communication into the speaker, and then that communicates to you via the app?
I have a feeling you're connected to the box.
So do I.
Because the USB-C, as far as I'm aware, in the theater and other Mozart speakers is essentially a replacement for the 3.5mm input.
Yeah, but it can take USB audio, can it not?
Yeah, but USB audio doesn't need to be digital. You can do analog audio over USB.
No, I understand that, but then how do you control? Or use other pins inside the USB connector to control or send down the control commands into
I think
You know
so,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? How would you do that?
Um, well, there is no, what is it, option 2, like it used to be, right? Where, like, because you now have 2 points of volume control again. Your 28s and the Beosound
Well, that's
9000.
exactly it, right? Like, how does it do? What do you control with what?
So I have a feeling you set the 28s to the standard output over USB and then have the 9000 do the volume up and down, i.e. through the box through Masterlink.
Yeah, but then isn't it silly that the box wouldn't have a network hardwire connector to it? Because
You'd
I didn't
think,
see.
but nowadays people are so confident in Wi-Fi everything.
I guess. Well, if you're running it on Ubiquiti as they prescribe, you shouldn't have an issue, which I don't think you would, anyways. Fucking Craig says on Tuesday my dealer had a 9,000 for 1,700 pounds. Wednesday it got up to 2,500. Oh yeah, dude, the 9,000s are gonna go up in price for sure,
We
and
said so
even
last
more.
week.
Yeah, it's gonna go even more. I'm not getting rid of mine, and I even have a spare CD mechanism for it, so there is no way I'm ever gonna get rid of mine. But I really wanted BeoConnect box, black box. Let's just call it the box, I guess. I want that box. Because if that box does that, then I think you can just tie any of your, like, I think that what they should do is have that box be able to tie into any old Masterlink product to tie in with the new equipment.
Currently, it's only specifically designed for the 9000.
Yeah,
And
I would imagine so.
I think that is partially because of in the app you can do the CD change thing and like
Yes,
your 6 CDs show up, which is obviously not a thing you can do on a 2500, 3200, whatever.
yes, or on
Or
any other
or
CD
if you have
player,
the one with the
basically.
hard drive, like how do you address the hard drive? Like
Yeah.
that's just not possible, right?
Well, it would be the same as here. It's just AMM command goes into the 3200 and just starts spinning.
Yeah, but it still has to show up on the app.
Not as metadata. Well, you could probably get metadata or whatever was named inside of songs, tracks. Otherwise, it would just say track whatever,
Yeah.
green playlist or whatever color playlist, and that's it.
I have a feeling that's just gonna that's asking for issues.
Oh hell yeah! And I don't think it's. I honestly don't think that they see it as worth the nightmare and R&D.
No.
But I really think that they should consider having something that brings all Masterlink product compatibility to the new Mozart platform, like they did with the NLML converter. And I say it simply because there are people that have committed a lot of money over time into B&O, and even if they, let's say, change to the new BeoLab 8, they still won't be able to utilize them the same way. Yes, I understand they're smart speaker, but they won't be able to utilize them the same way as as the old Masterlink system was, per se.
Yeah. Let's see. So far, I asked, do you like the Beosound 9000C? 26% say love it, 43% say like it, and then the rest it's okay or the original is better. Casper says you control the 9000 through the 28 either through local UI or the remote. Commands are routed via USB to BeoConnect Encore, which handles the ML protocol, sends the commands to 9000. Sweet! Thank you, Casper.
That's what I was assuming that they would do, but it's just, how is it outputting the sound from the box? Because that's what I'm wondering, how that control works. Like, is it all just digital audio with the, whatever the communication comes through? But yeah, it's in simple terms, yes, it is more or less a USB-C to Masterlink.
One thing I would highly advise is that if you have a 9000 and you want the BeoConnect Encore, tell your dealer. Also, put ones in the chat if you want that box as a standalone product. Because I personally
Yeah,
feel 200 units is too little.
I think so too.
I mean, I'd personally be even okay if it's a standalone Masterlink thing for just 9000s, right?
it would still, a lot of clients have 9000s, man. There's a lot more people with 9000s that I know than with the, let's say, Beosound 4s combined together. Obviously, if you break it down to like the 3200s and 3000s, and all the slidey doors all the way down to 1992 or 1, whenever they came out, that's a different story. But a lot of people have 9000s and they're still looking for 9000s, and exactly like it's just people do want that. I want that. Fudge, I would really want that. If I could hook that up to the theater, and once I have the 90s out of the box, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, the 9000 is one of these products that I was an idiot for getting rid of it, but most
told you not to,
people
man.
that, well, I
Oh,
still
yes.
kind of don't have a use for it, and I have a Beocenter 2 now, and I'm also one of these weird guys that essentially wants to own everything once.
Yeah,
So
but I sometimes
eventually my
tend to keep it.
Beocenter 2 will also probably go. Like, I have a moment now just to have it, right? Just so I can say I had it
We've
once.
shit on it for years now. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna spend $1,000 on it.
Well, I didn't. I bought it at an auction. I bought it
Well, that's
really
right.
cheap.
Well, you actually can make money off it still, for God's sakes, which is hilarious. But it just proves the point that B&O does not depreciate in value over time, no
So,
matter how bad it is sometimes.
but a 9000 is one of these products that just goes with you from, and you'll figure out a way to do it. But that,
Oh, it's a life's companion. And I've had people that literally would hook it up into the receivers via SPDIF. They didn't care.
yeah,
And I think B&O finally realized that also, that they need to do a multiverse of or not multiverse, a multitude of options with it as well, when Mark IIIs were introduced without need for a shorting pin to go to option 0, right? So
yeah.
to keep it in option 1 for third party setup, because there's been a lot of things that we've done with just CD players running directly into something else.
Well, also my 9000 was a European model, right? So it would have been a lot of faffing around here.
Oh, you'd be hooped here because first of all, good luck finding a power supply for it.
Yeah.
Because
I
it's
mean,
not
weirdly,
just one of
mine
those jumper
without the
swaps.
shorting pin would just go to option 0 and work.
No, it would work on option 0. Essentially, you're able to set the Mark II. I don't remember about the Mark I. I really haven't played with it that much. But you can set them to option 1 till the power goes out. Once the power goes out and they don't detect any power link in them, they go to option 0. Where Mark III, if you put it to option 1, it stays even after power outage disconnection, even after pin code is entered. So I honestly, I agree with you, Charles. There's no way they can only produce 80 or 200 of those units, man. There's no way. That I think that would be not just marketing. I think that would be a very big loss in sales opportunity.
Oh, that's for sure. I do
for
think
what they can make off of this.
They can weirdly somehow do it because the price of this is pretty astronomical. So, I mean, it's not exactly a cheap system, right? Like this, to me anyway, makes the 4000C seem pretty worth it. Because we thought that was ridiculous at like 10 grand, but this being 55.
It's a lot. So it's a special anodizing color, obviously, because it's called
black.
Cosmic Black, yes. So they re-anodized the whole look of it. Borrowed a contour floor stand base with, just extended the pipe per se. I really wonder if they've done the angle, that sharp ass son of a bitch that was on the original floor stand.
Mm-hmm.
Or did they just go cheap ass and capped it with an anodized and honed sticker or turned sticker like they did on BeoVision 7 series floor stands and wall brackets?
Like I said, I think we said this yesterday. I think the hardest thing for them to do was probably find fully intact original floor stands. Because
well, these are not original.
No, that's why. That's probably why they changed it, right?
Wow, but they could have made it, bro.
Yeah.
Still, they should have made it motorized for that money. Just have a seat there.
Like, I just want to see my CDs a bit better, man.
That's right. Use that whatever they have, or it's coming out for the fluid sweet spot. You should have that incorporated into the 9000, so it turns to you as you're moving about the room, so you can read the CDs at all times.
I mean, had they done it, we probably would have, or you probably would have said they should have motorized the 28 so that they turn like.
Put him on one of those, those hip rollers, whatever the things that you can buy those discs. Yeah, I guess and toss them on that. But yeah, no. All kidding aside, I think the only thing that they should have done that it's missing is they should have changed the not the LCD, but that micro LED display to white. And the only hard burn about that is that there has been a Beosound 9000 white edition with those white lights already in it. So I'm surprised that they just stayed with the regular red. They should have just done everything. And I don't understand why, where all the Mozart status light now is white. Everything is white. It went from, the red status light to white, and from red buttons to white.
Maybe it's cheaper.
I don't think it's cheaper. I think they just changed the look. It also changes the look of it because it kind of, separates the 80s and 90s per se from the newer age.
Yeah.
Where if you look at like the Beocenter 2, I think the backlit buttons died with B&O with the Beosound Century.
Pretty much.
I can't think of anything else further on that had backlit buttons. If anybody in the chat can think of anything else, then you're better than me, but I really don't think so. Other than the Beo4 Cinema Edition. The battery hog. That thing is insane, man. That thing burns insane batteries.
Serge asked, are you sure the white edition had white lights? He thought they had red.
I would bet my paycheck on the white lights. I had seen that, and I've seen it on eBay also being sold for a fucking $100,000. Some guy from, I think it was in Japan, that they had it. But yeah, I think that, the backlighting of the buttons, that kind of went away. Then everything had either it was ink print or anodized, like the Beocenter 2. They had the buttons laser etched, or no, it was still printed and then lacquered over top, so they don't wear off or rub off. But no, I am 100% certain that there was a white lights display on the Beosound 9000, including all the 6 status LEDs for the CDs. They were all white. And hell, it wouldn't cost them that much to change it.
The one on Sound Affair, I think this is the white one, or no? This is hard to tell. This is the
no, because the white one had the. Yeah, this is the OG. It's just maybe he painted it white. Because at the time you could also get that as a part. Yeah, this is the white one.
Because there's red LEDs and maybe.
Or maybe they were custom. Yeah. God knows at this point, but I know for a fact I had seen one with the white LEDs. And I think at the price tag that it was, I think they could have done it.
I kind of personally like the red LEDs. I don't mind them one bit. It's sort of nostalgia to me in many ways.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think OG is the best way to do it. But if you change, then I wouldn't change the platter or the CD mechanisms LEDs either, or for LEDs. I would just keep them at that. At
sort
that
of warm,
amber,
whitish.
Yeah, or something not like the cold, like white blue. Or at least that's what it shows on the pictures, and we all know that pictures don't really do the justice. It's nowhere near as far as what it comes to B&O. So, and yeah, they had a number on the clamper, correct? Says exactly. I think there was only 1,500 of them made, which at the time was, nothing. still. 200 now is nothing. But I guess for them it was really hard to muster up 209,000s, bro, in a decent shape.
Yeah, before you have to remake everything, yeah. Because they essentially had to be flawless, like on the outside everywhere.
I'm sure they still had a whole bunch of, like, I'm sure they would have glass. And I know they had mechanisms because I know
but you can't
through
have
some
like
channels
2 millimeter deep scratches in the aluminium anywhere, right?
No, but for them, I think the aluminium would be the least of their problems.
Yeah, but it cuts into your budget for like making this quite heavily. Like, yes, they can make aluminium, but it's like this run is so small that it's. I mean, yes, it has a high price, but I bet you if they just bought some shells and refurbished or redid all the aluminium, the price would be even higher. So there's that.
You know what all this shit makes me want to do right now? It makes me book a day in the storage locker and go pull out my goddamn 9000 and set it up in the back here because I really want to just look at it as I'm on the podcast. Which is where the dog stands right now with the little frog.
Do you think they'll do a renovation program for the 9000 now that this is out, like they did for the 4000?
If they haven't learned anything, then yes. And if they learn anything, then I would hope that they would start with that BeoConnect Encore box first. And I don't really know or see how they would do the upgrade program other than you can buy those crazy lamella for the UI covers for the 9000. But I really don't see how they're going to muster brand new mechanisms from anywhere other than China, which those things are shit because they last maybe a third of the lifespan of what it claimed, and what the B&O mechanisms last, because the B&O mechanisms
if it's
that were in the
1/3 price, then it doesn't really matter.
No, not really. It's just, do you really want to be taking it apart every so often? The B&O Max were rated to 5,000 listening hours, which is a lot, and they went a little more. But or I've seen some that went to like 7, but they would only play certain CDs at that point. So yeah, I got a Mark III laser mech for the 9000. Well, I have a Mark III that's sitting in my storage locker. So yeah, I just pull it out here, not even plug it into the wall, just put white CDs in it to look nice, or the gold ones.
I mean, I'm very much likely at some point to buy another 9000, even if it's broken, just to hang as a piece of wall art. Because they are very pretty in many ways.
It's a beautiful piece of machinery, man. It's a beautiful piece of mechanical sculpture.
I wouldn't even necessarily connect it to anything, but just have it to hang and look at stuff.
Yeah, as long as the door opens and you can load it with some CDs so it looks cool, that's all you need.
I mean, though, everything here in North America is kind of ridiculously expensive.
Well, everything has its premium, and B&O definitely does in here. It's interesting that there's a red dot power button, so that's a Mark I that they've refurbished on the photo.
Later Mark IIIs, I think, had one too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never seen a Mark III in Canada with the power button. It could have been just a European thing too.
Yeah. Because mine had a red power button.
Really? And it was a Mark III?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
I mean, the only thing that really kind of grinds my gears here is it's not even the product, it's the pricing. And it's specifically the North American pricing. Because
of that system or everything?
Well, let's take this overall system as an example, right? In Europe, this system is €50,000. that roughly equates to 55,000 USD, which they're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
However, in Europe, that is including 21% sales tax.
No, here you get hooped.
So I did the math the other day.
Mm-hmm.
If they sold it for the same price, X tax, as they do in Europe, essentially, because here it's price plus tax. In Europe, it's the price and tax included is the price.
As you see is what you pay.
Yeah, that would be 10,000 USD less, roughly.
So you're paying 60K basically because of the tax on it.
Well,
Depends on what state. I guess
the
if you
price,
buy it in Alberta in Canada, it would be the cheapest because we only have 5% GST over there.
But B&O doesn't pay European sales tax if they send stuff outside the EU.
No.
So the unit price essentially in that case is, I think it was 41,500 euro,
Okay.
which is roughly 45,000 USD, right?
Yeah.
But they're asking 55 for it.
Because they can.
I mean, it's sort of if you're an American and you don't know this because it's normal to you, right? Like, it's sort of like
it's never what you see is what you pay. That never happens. That never.
But
there's no place that it happens.
But if like LG panels generally are quite a lot cheaper here, because the European prices are including sales tax. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison, because here the price is excluding any of the taxes, because they change from locality to locality. So like if I were to buy a 9000C where I live, it would be more expensive than if I live 10 miles down the road.
Buy it fucking 10 miles down the road, bro, so you can drive.
Yeah, but this thing, I think, gets sent to your house.
Is it?
Yeah, well, it depends on how you do.
That's the rent and Airbnb shit. It's probably still gonna be cheaper than the tax.
But either way, like if I really wanted to buy this, right, there is no reason for me to buy this from an American dealer.
Why? It's cheaper to get it from Europe?
It's 10 grand less. Like I can spend 2 grand on shipping and insurance, insuring it to the hilt, right? And I'm still 8 grand up.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only sort of complaint about it.
Yeah, but that's just, how it works here. That's how much we get hooped and taxed and ça.
Yeah, but it's slightly a B&O thing. Like, and I don't mind them making the extra money, but it's like, on a special item like this, that's quite a lot of money, right? Like, it's a fifth of the product that is just there for some reason.
But you gotta say that this thing is one of the most collected and most significant in their importance as far as the entire portfolio was all the way to mid-2000s. Late 2010s, actually, right?
Yeah.
Because the 9000 got discontinued, now 13 years ago, 2011 or 2012, I think, was its last, when we sold our last unit.
God, I miss David Lewis.
And it's still one of the most sought after pieces of equipment that B&O makes, as far as for collectors. Everybody needs to have a 9000 in their collection.
Yeah, if you're in the market for a 9000, buy them now. Like, you should have bought them last week, but...
Well, now if you FOMO into it, they're going to go even more money. Let the tsunami roll by.
But the same thing happened, like, it's still happening to the Beogram 4000s series, or 6000 series.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a 50% price rise from what they were before the 4000C launched. I mean, I saw a was it yesterday or the day before, a 4002? And, like, the aluminium was okay, but, like, the plinth and the dust cover were rough. Like, they had chunks missing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still asking $800 for it.
Spineless bastards. Yeah, it's just
But
that's the market we're in now, man.
yeah, but that's the crazy bit, right? Before the C launch, that would have been $200 or something like that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's and I think because of that, also it's gonna rise the price, not just to 9,000, but it's gonna. I think 9,000 is gonna go way more in price over time as well, because people are gonna want to buy the sometimes even for parts, especially if you bought the 9000C. I'm sure you want to have a spare mechanism going on in your basement somewhere for it, right?
Yeah.
Sorry for the buzzage, but I need a
I
coffee.
mean, one of the things that kind of makes me happy about it is that people will be much less inclined to throw them away. Because
Oh hell yeah!
because weirdly here in the US, people will sell their houses with everything in it, and if it's an old B&O system, their new owner, you see often on forums and stuff like, oh, it says Bang and Olufsen or something.
Yeah.
Like,
They
can I
never
just
spell it
toss
right,
it, or does it have any value? Which is
and
like,
people go,
oh,
ah. Yeah. You can come across some real good gems here on estate sales.
yeah.
Depends what neighborhoods, but yeah, you can come across some real gems.
Well, I
But the
think it's a
9,000 is
lack of
definitely.
knowledge and a lack of dealers. But like
Mhm.
the other thing that also kind of what I like about it is that the third party repair people that specialize in this sort of thing are gonna have actual work for like multi-care and whatnot, right? Like this is gonna be way more. Uh, it's gonna be less cost prohibitive to like repair your Mark III or two. Whereas before, if the repair was, let's say, I don't know, $400 or $500, you would go, like $300 more, I can buy another secondhand one and whatever.
Not now, not anymore.
Yeah, so people will actually keep them running for longer, which also means the people we will rely on in 15 years' time will actually be in business still.
It doesn't throw it into trash. That sucks, DJ Neil. Disgrace.
Yeah,
But
you need a garage sometimes to like save all this stuff.
yeah, well, I have a full storage locker. Well, not now, but when I was in the business in Calgary during the boom times of the pro partnership, I had a 10 by 16-foot locker filled with everything. Even after the collapse of the shop, I took when they bankrupted and whatever the executor, and I bought some stuff off the executor. So I brought all that in there, especially like the connectors, cables, and all this shit that they, basically had no value to them. But I'm like, God, this is gold mine because everybody needs a cable, especially back then, when WISA wasn't as popular.
One thing
So
that's going to be interesting is the spinning up of cable manufacturing again, because if the Beosound Encore is going to be sold as a standalone thing, you're going to have like
Masterlink,
a master link to what is it, Ethernet?
yeah, Masterlink to RJ45,
Yeah,
the
and that's
Lexcom or whatever they call it, the company. I
if
think it
you're a
was.
dealer, you're going to have at least one of those in stock.
We got some. I actually have some in my van kit that I have. Always got to have a Masterlink on, bro. You never know.
If you have a system like as shown, where would you put the Encore? Like just a short cable on the back of the CD player, or like hide it somewhere because there's no space in 28s.
I would use one of those B&O nice fabric braided cables and just run it, up to the neck of the speaker and then forever how long, because it's already quite a bit of distance. Like what, you're at least 70 centimeters off the cable that you lose inside the spine.
Yeah.
So 2-3 meter cable and then just run it somewhere off the side. Obviously this is plugged in here with nothing as usual. Maybe it is connected, but to me what doesn't make sense, why is the CD player on and the speakers are not playing?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
wasn't gonna say anything.
because we all have seen that before, I'm sure. But yeah, I want
But
that
you know,
box,
your
man. That's it.
photographers need to work with your products a bit more.
I understand they wanted to showcase the lamellas, which is also weird because isn't that a BeoVision 1 in the background as a shadow with the 6000s weirdly positioned as a wallpaper? Because it's not
Here,
really a shadow.
this TV looking thing, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like it.
it looks like the TV from yeah, it's like a BeoVision something or MX, one of those. Also, the A5 frame, I have both of them. I'm still proud owner of I actually have 2 silvers and one black, a narrow one for business cards to hold. Which those are very hard to find. I hoarded those out in Denmark when I was in the museum. I bought all of them. Fuck it. Nobody will get them after me. and that's it.
Oh, there's a place for the box on the backside of the 9000C. Sweet. Nice.
I wonder what they took out.
It's probably literally like sticks on the back or like a different type of
Oh, just an attachment.
wall plate or...
I wonder what the mounting mechanism was, or did they make a recess or a hole in the wall plate so that can recess in or clip in like maybe it's the same clip method that they're gonna use as they did on BeoConnect core and the shape.
Yeah.
That just screws in and clips.
Another thing I'm wondering is there going to be a wall mount option for this? Because I bet not even though the stand and everything is kind of nice, right? Like not everybody wants it that way.
I wouldn't doubt it. Depends on what they changed internally. I don't think that they changed much as far as the mechanism goes and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely that you would need to get like either STB or if you have the original bracket, because I don't think the screw pattern would have been changed, and then just offset that box somewhere further out, and you can put it on the wall.
My 9000 was one of the products that gave me the most heart palpitations, right? Because it's really fucking heavy and that glass is really precious. And then the screws on the back plate are really kind of tiny. And it's sort of like...
how you all hang it? Yeah, it's little.
And it's sort of like, is this going to hold? Like, this doesn't seem substantial enough.
No, those black screws are tough, man.
Yeah, I know, but tough. Like, it doesn't, like, they're tiny, right? Like, it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, it doesn't boast much confidence, but it's not as nerve-wracking as watching a BeoVision Avant 85 hanging on the wall bracket on that little silver steel peg. Now that's a nerve-wrack as far as like, is it on? Is it not? Is it on? Is it not? But yeah, I know exactly. I think the worst pain is to take it off the wall bracket, the vertical one, without
gouging your wall or...
Yes, that's it. And just slide on like, okay.
Sweet. But the nice design with the size of a cigarette pack. Nice. You really, really, please sell this as a standalone product.
Yeah, you should definitely consider it.
I don't even think you should
even if you charge the same as the BeoConnect core, which is now I guess 1,700 Canadian dollars, whatever. I still would buy that. I still would buy that box because that's a gateway to all of my Masterlink stuff. Not all of it, but the one that matters the most. Because that'd be super cool to have people be able to. I have a lot of people that have the theater with the 9000s, and it'd be super cool to just have it tie in properly. That'd be sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only worry I have is how long and how far can you afford to go with those USB cables and everything else before you start running into issues. So then does that BeoConnect or Beosound Encore, I wonder if it needs power separately or does it pull the power off a Masterlink? But I don't think the Masterlink has enough ampage in it to power that box. But yeah, I agree with Charles.
Maybe USB power from whatever Mozart speaker it's connected to.
Oh, to reroute? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because to make it work, it has to be connected to a Mozart speaker, is what they said on the Discord earlier this week.
And if I would assume how that would work in real life, breaking it down to Masterlink, I think that the Encore, the black box, is supplying Masterlink voltage as a master to the 9000, and it's basically a television, as the 9000 would see it, which 9000 is going to option 0, and then the commands through Masterlink go. That's exactly how I would do it if I were to do it. And then you have no IR response on the 9000 even for accidental use.
Yeah, because that's just going to cause app issues and other nonsense you don't want.
Yeah, so that makes total sense that the 28s are powering the box. Very smart. Very smart. I like it.
I guess if it must be a Mozart speaker, I wonder if you could, for 50s and 90s, attach the BeoConnect Encore to BeoConnect Core and then into 50s and 90s and have control that way with a remote through the BeoConnect Core.
It could be. I see what you're saying. I'm just I don't think. Well, you would go PowerLink out from the BeoConnect Core, right? And then the USB-C would go into the BeoConnect Encore.
Yeah.
And then Masterlink out into the bloody 9000.
Yeah. Effectively a more advanced ML-NL converter. Yeah, and also like a fifth of the size.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even back in the day when it was new, the ML-NL converter wasn't exactly cheap.
Oh, bloody hell, and it was double the size of that active kit.
Yeah. Like, how much did they go for originally?
I think they were $1,700.
Yeah. I mean, so
I guess you lose some... 2,500 from what I remember. BeoLink gateway. Sorry.
I guess you lose some sources and stuff, but if like you sell something now for like close to the BeoConnect Core price, compared to something 10 years ago that was more expensive.
I think they can easily sell 1,000 units of that box. Easy.
Yeah, if nothing else, to dealers.
People will buy it, man.
Yeah. Like, all your dealers will have at least one in their shop. And if nothing else, they'll have most dealers will probably have two. One to, like, show off, right? Like, you can do this again.
I hope that the cost offset or the profit offset that you make off of those 200 units was well worth the funding to develop that box, that you guys do bring it to portfolio.
Yeah, because it has a part number, but I'm not sure if that's for like legal reasons and there are other reasons.
Fucking know that part number off by heart, for God's sakes now. Sucks.
But or for warranty reasons and that sort of thing. So
I don't know, man. I want it. I really want it. I think B&O should definitely, like, let the wave of the 9000 ride or 9000C ride right now and go with it. And then, you know what? Christmas is still a few months away, and just introduce that as a one of the perks, as an accessory, because that is a big step. That's a big advancement. There's so many people I can think of that would buy this. I wonder also if it can fast forward the CDs, Christian. On the 9000, not many people were ever aware of that, but the yellow and green buttons on the BO4 remote, if you press them, they would either fast forward the track or reverse back in the track in the time, not skip to another track. But I guess if all those functions are there, I think that it would just communicate the yellow and green as well. But I definitely, it's honestly a no-brainer, guys. To not come up with it, or to come up with it. Sorry, I wouldn't keep that in the shelf just for the 200 units.
If they bring the aluminium grills for the 28s, what should they cost? And don't think of this necessarily as like a customer perspective, but as a business perspective on their side, right?
Realistically speaking, I would say anywhere between the 25 to 3,000, $2,500 to $3,000. Given how much the walnut grill costs on the theater, which is $2,100, I believe, I think that the $3,000 would be almost, I think, on par with for a couple more price increases over time.
Because I don't know if it's still the price, but it used to be $3,000 for the aluminium grill on the 50s. However, the aluminium grill in the 50s was never from a collector item design, right?
Yes.
And so I do think you can easily sort of justify tacking on whatever the max price is plus 500, because you kind of want to keep some of that exclusivity with this set. Because the initial 28 grills that were on the what you call it, the embossed ones, or the ones that had their numbers from
limited,
1 to 28, the limited edition sets, those were, I think, 300 or 400 euro more for just a set of lamellas than the next most expensive option.
Okay. But yeah, I can see that being about a $3,000 option, and maybe $3,500 option for a Bronstone as a Beospoke.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, because I have a feeling they may not make those in large quantities, just as a sort of exclusivity.
Well, it's a lot
deal.
of aluminium too, though, if you think about it. Like, those grills will be heavy as well, much heavier than wood.
Yeah.
Wonder if it's more or less
I mean,
tapping
making
the
them
limits
is
of the
probably
motors.
a little bit easier, because it's just the same extrusion every time on a sort of clip-on frame, right?
Yeah, but every bloody lamella is different shape. They're all different shapes because they taper, right?
Yeah.
So you need, well, I guess there's only, I forget how many there is in a single speaker, but that's how many you would need to make individually, because there's 2 lefts and 2 rights on each speaker, or both speakers together, I guess.
Yeah, but at least with aluminium, you don't have the thing you have with wood, that it can snap if you're cutting it that small.
Yeah, but I think that, I don't
or
know.
that it splits or
The
whatever.
9,000 thing is cool, like as far as the grills and all that. I don't know if that would be something that, I think that they should keep that exclusivity for the 9,000 on its own. But I think that the aluminium grills, maybe even polished ones, they cost them more, whatever. But I think they should be at least available in the Beospoke portfolio for people that want to have that extra level of extravagance with the speakers.
Yeah, I also think it's a fairly easy sell to make a lot more money as a company.
I agree.
And by the same token, it doesn't have to be cheap, right? Like, because it's not gonna be, but
it's never cheap with B&O. Oh yeah, see, there's a clip, so I figured, because they are definitely different. They can't be just those little clicky magnets, and I don't think that would hold. So
no,
I can see them being just like latched on, still magnets, but latch on as well. Makes sense. Hope the motors don't get loud over time with the extra weight on them. Well, the motors don't really, but the mechanism itself. But B&O's mechanically flawless, has been for a long time. They have a little bit of hiccups, I guess, with the Avant 55 or Avant series altogether, with the speakers don't stopping to drop. But then again, it's been 12 years the TV's been around.
Yes, the speaker can be wall mounted.
Yeah, that's just the backbone that you can change around.
Like this piece right here is, you can get that at like a 90-degree angle.
Yes.
And then this cone sits like conically on the wall, pointing forward, if you will. I would say it's less advisable to do that in North America.
Especially if you live in the apartment where the the entire structure is basically metal studs.
Yeah.
Because that I've mounted theaters on those walls, and during just the speaker calibration, you can hear everything that was ditched and abandoned in the wall, plus all the Lumex rattling. It's fucking impossible. Like, the best way, if you're doing this in North America, it's honestly, I would even, like, if you really want to have a nice performance acoustically, I would open that wall and fill it with insulation, make sure nothing's in it, and then put the stuff back on, paint it, whatever, like, run
Potentially
proper
even
cables
expansion foam.
or something just to seal it up, man, to make it so it doesn't move and rattle, because the rattle is real here. And that also goes for Beosound shape. Depends on where you install it. And I know that the micro vibrations over time, they loosen up the screws in the drywall, so it's better to use, like, I've had mine with 6 screws in each tile, so 72 screws altogether in 12 tiles. The wall looked like, I was a part of a freaking Italian mob shootout, but when I was done with it. But at the end of the day, if you put 1 hole or 3 holes on the wall and you paint in the whole fucking wall, what's another, 69 of them? So
this is why I chose this solution, since
Mhm.
I have a North American wall. Even though I made this wall plywood, right? Like 5/8
Yeah.
plywood.
Yeah, it wouldn't rattle.
I'm not sure.
It wouldn't. Not with the 50s, bro. 2 pairs of 50s, you're kidding yourself. This is more or less a center channel. Those woofers don't woof.
No, but if it hung on the wall, right? Like,
It wouldn't.
Because my
impede.
50s already make my walls dance. Like,
Yeah, but this is just the center channel. You don't have the side. You don't have the woofers active, and if there is any activity in it, like the bass redirection is probably at negative 41 dBs, if not more, because everything is diverted overboard to the 50s
yeah.
times 2.
Because like, even especially my left front 50 makes like the AC ducts in the wall rattle.
I had
And they're not
thought,
like, the speaker is that far away from the wall, right? And the AC duct is actually on the other side of the same wall.
I had developed a rattle here now that I can hear. It's not the TV, because I've padded the crap out of it. So the TV solid theater never had an issue. It was just more or less the panel that always had the rattle problem. But now at certain points of bass, whatever frequency, there's something that rattles in this wall, and I cannot, like, I'm screwed anyways because I can't go inside the wall and fix it. But there's it. Yeah, this thing moves a lot of air, even with the little, Beolab 11 egg on the back of the couch, which does bring quite a bit more bass performance to it, surprisingly enough. But not when you go higher volumes, because then it just runs away. Also, this is the idea land where this is where they're packing them.
Yeah, it's sexy.
This is Beoporn.
Also, B&O, could you give us more of this sort of stuff? Just in general, like, it doesn't even matter what era it's in.
And, like, do like what Google Maps do, just blur out the people's faces if that's the problem, and who cares? I'm not looking at the girls there anyways.
Because I love this sort of thing.
Yeah. Me too. I like, and back in the day, I always was, I was hungry for those pictures, especially like in the catalogs they had whole, the B&O magazine, which I guess went down by the wayside. I kind of miss it. It's the new Arian Factory 3. Okay.
Sweet.
Was that where the BeoVision 11s and 10? BeoVision 11s were made back in the day. Was it the old TV assembly factory, if I remember correctly?
Just in general, give us more production process pictures. Like, they don't even have to be like, you don't have to get like your personal professional photographer out. Like, use your bloody iPhone or whatever. It's good enough for Instagram. But I love this sort of stuff. And I think most of the people that like B&O have a mechanical affinity with all of the movement and that sort of stuff.
Oh, 100%. We've had people that bought the 28s just for the movement. Because, compared to 18s with the sub or 28s with the movement, they went with the 28s with the movement.
mean, compared to the 90s, that's partially what's so amazing about the 50s, right? It's like the just that little bit of movement coming up
Well,
and
there's
down.
two bits of movements, right? You have the lens come up and down, and then you have the acoustic lens open and close. Oh, is the office space service support? Okay, engineer module service just below. Okay, I see.
I mean,
Just
this is just nice.
hmm
Also,
yeah, I
leave a
like
like if
the.
you.
I would love to see like the pictures from I think the factory 5, I guess, and the anodizing plant where these things were dipped and came out different colors. That'd be sweet. That'd be a nice video or a promo video even for that. But no, I'm happy about the 9000 come out like that. But I'm more happy that they had made a solution that could be adopted to their very wide range portfolio that and retrofit it to products that
Absolutely. If
goes with their mantra and their seven ICs, right? And also the fact that you don't make something that B&O's never made something that was obsolete in time because there was always a way to connect or interconnect it backwards.
for the last 3 years, we've sort of been moving back from or away from like perpetually backwards compatibility, and I really like that. Like, this is partially why I don't understand the cradle to cradle thing, right? Because B&O did that before that label was even a thing.
They've been doing it for a long time,
I
especially
mean,
just with just keeping parts alive. That's what cradle to cradle really is, because then you don't throw out the piece that you have. It sounds great, it looks great. You just want to have it repaired. I have a lot of people that just want to have their things repaired.
I
They
mean
don't want to
that
buy new.
that your Beo Remote 1, your current remote, works with like the Beosystem 5500 is crazy in many ways.
Well, to a lot of people, it's almost beyond understandable, right? How is
Yeah.
that possible? Well, because
Like, I bought this remote in 2010. Like, it works with stuff from like the mid 80s.
yeah, and that's awesome.
I mean, but that's also partially why I like it. Like, you can. I mean, again, like a CD player from what, almost 30 years ago now is fully compatible with a speaker that was launched 2 years ago.
Yeah,
And you can control the CD player from 30 years ago with an app.
which that's even back in the day when the Masterlink Gateway came out. This is 2008-9, and like it was very rudimentary, but people were mind blown that you can control the 9000 with an iPhone.
Yeah.
It was back then that it was crazy, and I'm glad that that's it's not gone by the wayside or gotten forgotten.
No, and this is the sort of shit why I love B&O, right? Like, it's this it's such a unique view on like home audio. It's it it's
Yes.
not only about sound, because like speakers are never only about sound. Like, I'm pretty sure like those avant-garde systems sound better, but like you have a literal fucking closet that's your subwoofer, and it looks
Hmm.
weird. Like it's a dedicated room. Like, you can't, you sort of live around it, not with it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But yeah, I agree with you, Christian. Compatibility is a very strong factor, and that's it's almost, I think that B&O had made a mistake, and that it's realized it now over time that even your core products, even if you want to abandon the Masterlink per se, which I understand it's a dead technology in a lot of many ways,
Same for the
but the
cables; they're
drawback
hard
of
to
your
get.
company is that you make stuff that literally outlives their owners
Yeah.
and gets passed on and inherited, and people want to keep it. They 100% want to keep it from just the sentimental value, and also they want to keep it sometimes because it just looks cool. But a lot of it is sentiment. A lot of and the fact that that it still can be repaired 30 years or 12 years off out of production, and you can still find parts for things. It's awesome. There is no other brand that does it. There is no other brand that does it to that extent. So no, I definitely commend them for doing that, and I think that the Encore box whatever you want to call it, the transformer. I hope that it comes out as a thing. I really do, because that's a gateway to a lot of people's stereos, and I feel especially bad for people that live with the, let's say a Masterlink system, and then they got an Avant, and they have an LML converter or even MCL converter. Sometimes it can go that far back, but you run with an LML converter, everything is synchronized, works perfectly, and then the Avant died, so they replaced it with the Theater, and now there's this delay and echo, right? And it's not cool anymore. It kind of kills the, I'm sure that the person that has that issue would probably buy even an Emerge just to have it as a, like the M3 was a gateway to the net radio and Deezer through the converter. It would be the same thing if you plugged in that ML box into the Emerge somewhere close by to the Beosound 4 or whatever, because you can't run the cables. Then you have that now connectivity via network to the newer stuff, and everything works the same way, and they can listen to the goofy ass classical music everywhere. So, but
I mean, even CD players like these they're stonkingly old, but they're so cool.
They're impressive, man, and people want to hang on to it, and
like just the sheer fact of doing that and zip, right, like that was such a joy as a child, because I grew up with was it the Censure, the Overture initially, and then the 2500 later. Just going up to their friends like, "Hey, you want to listen to some music?" And you go, and it's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like just the zip, and the slow sort of loading thing. Like, it's amazing to this day.
I remember gawking over those systems in the the catalogs from the 2000s or the B&O magazines that they used to come out, and just one day, and that day has come in 2011. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it's the best job I ever had, to work with this company, and it's never a dull moment, man. Especially you go to people's homes that beautiful houses, and every setup is just completely different.
Also, if you make a new remote, could we go back to these sorts of buttons? Because I love these buttons. They're so tactile. They're so great. The spacing is fantastic.
Like a BO4.
Yeah.
Type.
Like they're softer than the BR1, but they're firm enough that you know what you're pushing. They're not squishy, but they're also not sort of plasticky.
They get a nice stick to them. Yeah, they have a nice stick to them for sure.
They have some weight to the actual press. Like currently, I have the feeling with the BR Remote 1, the thing you feel more than anything else is the spring below it. Right.
Well, it's that little spring pad, the little white sticker that we looked at the other day. Too bad I threw it out. But that's I don't know. Is it time, you think, to address a B&O remote once again? It's been what, 12 years, 13 years almost that we've had this.
I think so.
I think there would be time to get something that
make a BO4C.
I foresee that. Oh, that'd be great if they did. Now, the only mistake that B&O did, I think, when their portfolio with like BeoLab 3s and such was the use of that TouchSoft paint. That's an absolute death to those speakers.
I think that they've learned from that.
They definitely have, but yeah, it's a bad. That was it's impressive that some are still in a great condition, but those are usually in a place that UV light never shines. But the ones that are like in libraries or whatever, in people's rooms that they have a lot of light, those things, like I've had one set that it was in gray color, but not the black, that literally my gloves were sticking to it as I was moving it.
So, yeah, the ones I had were fine. I mean, if they got really hot, they become but they generally didn't see any sun.
Soft paint will never happen again. I'm very glad it won't.
I mean, it looked nice for the first 5 years or so, and then it was kind of like, Hmm.
But you know what? Though I have the B&O cabinet, my paint is still great. It's holding strong. But again, I got that cabinet from our showroom in Calgary, where it never saw daylight because it was in the B&O theater, like the old school, the B boutique showroom, whatever, the older, I guess what's it called, the older style of it, the 2000s, with their separate B of Lab 5 room. So
Marius asks, "Hi guys, I have a question. Which other B&O speaker is sound-wise and power close to the Beosound 2? Beosound Balance? It's more power, way more power. Sound is slightly different, but you can tune it in EQ.
hey, Sandeep.
Evening, Sandeep. Are you looking in the Beosound range or in the BeoLab range? That makes quite the difference, right? Because you can easily say, like, get some BeoLab 3s, but then you need a source. So do you want something with a source built in or not?
At this point, I would just look at the Lab 8s, or even just look at one. It's already mono from, well, kind of a mono from the Beosound 2. You have the side firing mid range or full range drivers. But I would, if I were to debate those two, I would buy a Lab 8, and then later on, again, when the budget recovers, buy the second Lab 8, and you are not going to go wrong one bit with that decision. But I don't know. I kind of get to the point now where I try to stay away from the older generation speakers, more or less from the technical perspective and how I see it, and I fully understand the repair headache that happens with those. Because if you look at BeoLab 3s, there is no parts available as far as the chassis. So the only way that I can fix them is to send them to Brad in Vancouver, and then whenever he gets around it to do it, and then he tests it for a while. So it's usually a month before you see them, if not more, right? And then for how long are they going to stay alive? Usually they stay alive for a long time, but it's just,
Long time in B&O terms means 10 plus years, usually.
yeah. So it gets to the point where I personally, I guess I can't really look at it in that way. You have a good evening as well, Christian. Thanks for stopping by again. But the way I see it, like, I've been through, I guess I'm like a be a whore because I've been through every single product other than the harmony and the stage. But I had dealt with them professionally now enough that I know what they sound like, and they're
Yeah,
great.
you were
And
B&O madam.
but
You were
yeah,
dishing
like
them
I've
out.
Jesus Christ, like I've owned every single product all the way back to 1987, and played with it, serviced it, took it apart, put it together. So I look at it a little different, and I just, I'm more interested in what's inside the guts of the newer stuff now and how it works than the old stuff, which I know how it works. And, it's just a matter of couple pinouts and all that. Where the new generation Mozart type of thing, it's more challenging, especially when it gets to a lot of it, and with the network, how strong their network is, because then it doesn't matter, you know, if the network's gone, then you are in trouble.
Although I like almost all the new stuff, and I don't even necessarily mind the prices. I do think the price increases are a bit drastic and annoying, but besides that, it's the sound profile I'm still not fully accustomed to.
The only issue that I have with the sound profile is it's not units, it's not unison. So and that's specifically talking about BLF 28s. I don't understand why they sound differently on their own when and even with the harmony, or well, with harmony they're saying they sound different as well. They're more bassy when they're on their own.
Yeah, which is, I
Why?
think, something that can be fixed in software.
I think so. I think that should have been looked at in the beginning, and just make sure that they're at least like the tuning profiles. If you make the tuning profiles, because everything recognizes what it all is, so make the tuning profiles that address that issue, and have those speakers sound the same in all instances, not just this is different sounding from that. If your TV's off and you turn on your 28s and it's like, what is this sound? It's much more bassy. I had the same thing when I had them here over the Christmas. They sound completely different on their own when they're in with the theater. They sound great with the theater, don't get me wrong, but they're way more out of control with bass. They're very lap 5-ish on their own, very lap 5-ish. And I don't know if that's just the intentional
I have a feeling
tune.
it is. I mean, they've probably also seen their data how loud people listen to, right? And that's why there's a bass drop off, because people never really go to that area.
And if they do, it's more or less on the party where it's already loud anyways, and you're not really listening to the music critically, and the bass doesn't matter as long as the fucking thing screams, right?
Yeah,
That's
you're
usually the
probably
party.
fondling some other woman and your wife gets mad at you. Those sorts of parties.
And my race, I went drunk Saturday night and bid it on a Beosound 2nd gen. Did you win it?
I hope so. They're great.
That's a good hangover. I had drunken bought shit on eBay that I woke up the next morning. Their Python has been sent. I'm like, oh my god, what did I just get? One of them was my G-Shock watch that I wear to work. Didn't even know I bought it. So, BeoLab 28 aluminum grill should cost between $1,500 to $2,000. 63% of people agree with that, and only 24% agree with me, which I would say, at the end of the day, only 6% of people are actually realistic. Between $3,000 and $3,500. And
Well, the
another,
other 6% say more.
and I think the pessimists are the last bottom 6% for more.
But is it pessimism though? Because like nothing is cheap. Well, cheap. Maybe nothing is really affordable anymore. Plus, they're going after the very high net worth individuals anyway.
No.
So if you're like, let's say you are a very high net worth individual, and B&O sort of gets you if as a client, let's say, what, a year from now, you're most likely missing out on the 9000C, right? But you may still want it. So are you willing to pay for it at that point? Probably. I mean, you're a very high net worth. Like,
Yeah, money's no object, really, right? Then I guess
like,
it doesn't
what's
matter.
$4,000 to you?
Probably not much to those people. If your income is, maybe.
I mean, I'm not saying this should be the case, but this is sort of where the headspace is at.
I agree.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if by now the aluminium grills on the 50s are about $4,000.
No, I wouldn't be shocked either.
So, I mean that is, and it's probably harder to make in many ways for the 28s than it is for the 50s.
You think so?
Well, at least with the 50s, you can make it out of one flat sheet, right? And like cut it all out with like a water jet or something.
Yeah, but let's say you allocate, that all of your machinery does one lamella profile all day, right? So then you would need what, 8 days to fully manufacture one side.
Yeah, but I think.
But you can do a lot of them in one day, right? Like you can do a whole bunch in one day. So you would, let's say, allocate. If you can make, let's say, 100 per day, so you end up with 800 pieces. That's 400 lamellas, basically, 400 left and 400 right. So that's your entire production line for 200 pairs of speakers.
Yeah, but there's a cost to that. And,
of course.
But it's also because it's an exclusive model that it's hard to gauge. I mean, they first have to agree to actually sell them separately, right?
I also wonder if those lamellas are screwed in or glued, because that's another cost on top of assembly. Because if they're gluing the lamellas in from wood onto those little mechanical assemblies, right, then it's not as nowhere near as work tedious as fucking drilling holes into all these and putting screws in them individually. So I don't know.
Paul asks, how much of a job is it to change the top plate on the balance?
Not much at all. You just got to be careful with the ribbon cable. Essentially, you just twist it to the right or counterclockwise, and you just lift it.
Wait, there's no screws holding it in?
No, it's just retention clips. Just like the touchpad on the Beosound 2. If you push down 2 fingers and press it down and rotate counterclockwise, you can remove it. And Beosound 1 as well, I guess, would be the same. I think M5
Don't
has
start
the
doing
same.
this now, everybody.
M5 doesn't have the same because it's the volume is the what it spins, so you have to access that from the bottom. Otherwise, it's gonna fuck that up.
If it
But
ain't broke, don't fix it. So don't
yeah, if it
fuck
ain't broke, don't
around.
fix it. I would highly recommend just bring it to the dealer and let him break the ribbon cable, because if you do it, then it's a little more money. But yeah, I know it's obviously it's very simple to access those things.
Alex says,
So
for 2000, I'll build the most beautiful aluminium grills and I'll make a healthy profit. I think go for it. Do
yeah,
it now. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, if you really have that capability, like, I'll promote it. Show us what you
for
got,
sure.
right? Like, if you can sink that time in there, I'll show everybody that wants to see it. Happily. I'll post it on the Discord.
For
You know
sure.
what? If you can produce that, I'll post it on my Instagram every day for a week with links, everything.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I'd happily. I don't mind if you sell them and you make the money. Then go for it. That just shows what B&O should be doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I personally think it's harder than just saying like, oh, it's a lot of money, therefore I could do it. But if you can, because I'm not like you're just a screen name to me, right? Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Like maybe you can actually do this. Maybe you actually have a mill and a bunch of aluminium at home.
Yeah, maybe he owns one of those companies. You never know. But you can have some of your guys to manufacture it. But if can you pull up a like a large image of the BioLab 28, maybe even from the B&O's website, just to give the understanding that every single one of those lamellas is different. It's not just a couple rods that are screwed in onto the little plastic ratchet mechanism. Like there's a
Uh,
lot more to it. It's the same as the BioLab 18s. Each lamella is more or less different to itself. I think only, well, not really. It's 14 lamellas in there, so 7 are different from one side to the other, but those are also screwed in together.
let's see if I can find something like that.
There's got to be an image somewhere that's showing off the beauty of the movement.
Uh,
But yeah, I highly encourage everybody that watches this podcast, if you want that converter box, I think you should bug your dealer about it and make requests and have them make requests to the B&O. But yeah, you
yeah,
see, all of them are different.
send an email to customer support and send an email to your dealer and also give your dealer a text and or call.
Mm. Are they different though, or they just change the angle inside how
I
they
think the
click?
angle has changed.
That's all there is.
Yeah.
How's the Portal sound to versus HX? I have no idea because I never really listened to the HXs. I'm not a big headphone guy, to be quite honest with you. If I get a set of headphones, if it were up to me, I would still have the A8s from 2001. I can find them in the
If you're
storage.
asking for pure sound, it's kind of hard because the portals seal on my head way better than the HXs do. And that's partially because of that sort of
Bulked
cushion
out
that
chin, yeah.
goes like that. The HXs, I like them. They're a bit more neutral. These are much more like bass heavy, but it's kind of playful in a sense where I just prefer them. Also because like I don't wear headphones for the ultimate sound experience.
Mhm.
Like I wear them for fun essentially because I
Yeah,
have
to me it's
big speakers.
to me it's just the podcast that I literally have the headphones on. Craig Allen says on the Beosound 14, each wooden strip is different. I guess that's how they charge so much for the wood versus fabric. No, actually, you're incorrect. There's only 2 variants of that wood inside it, and if you look closely, it's every second one is different, and some are shorter also. But there's only I think 2 different variants of those waves, and they're interweaved together, so it gives that very busy look and very wavy look to it. But there's only 2 lamella kinds that are put together in there.
But one thing why I don't think anybody has ever been able to make a good replica of it is because on the side profile, it's a triangle that descends into a point, right?
Yes.
Like, so when you look at it from the front, it's from wide to narrow, but it's not just wide to narrow because it's also a height difference. Like, it
Yes.
changes on all three axes.
Yes. It's a very interesting grill to have
I
as a
love
part
that
of your
grill.
collection.
I
Yeah,
think
I
it's the best grill they've ever made for any of the Square TV models.
agreed by a long shot. If I had that grill on the BeoVision 11 or a 14, I would probably still keep the damn TV just because of that grill.
Yeah, same.
100%.
I mean, if I had an 1155, I would keep it anyway. It's still a great TV.
It is. It is a great TV. Great looking TV as well. But yeah, I think that the lamellas are all the same. It's just the angle of them changes as they're mounted. And only the first front ones are mounted from the sides, I guess, or side screwed. I don't know.
Getting these lamella covers off is one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done to a B&O speaker.
Why?
Because the strips that clip in on the top and bottom are only on the top and bottom and not from like the whole side, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
the wood is actually what keeps it together. But
Yeah.
then you sort of have to rip it from the back to the front, and you put torque on that wood and you feel it bend a little bit, and it's like, I know it's probably not going to break, but that I feel it bend is like,
I don't know. I never had that experience with it. I definitely, take out the wood lamellas when the speaker's open.
Well, it's also different for you, right? Because you go to the shop and like, this broke, let's order another piece. For me, it's like, God damn it, I have to pay for this shit.
Yeah, but I don't just have shit,
Like, I don't
ripping
like
it off,
rip
like-
it, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
like that feeling of, if I do this
Yeah,
wrong, it's
a
on me.
business write-off for a lesson versus like, son of a bitch, that's another $800. Yeah, fair enough. So, but
Paul, you should look back on a very old BeoTalk we did about the Alicia Keys' house with 90s in it.
yeah, that was a little spicy.
And yeah.
Let's just leave it at that. I forget what episode it was, but it was a good one.
Well, it's in the thumbnail, I think, but
I think I had to drink bourbon on that one too,
yeah.
because I was just pissed.
It's
But-
it's sort of like that.
Yeah, they're whoever.
Or actually,
I
I
think
think it
it's
was
all
sort of like
fixed now.
that.
Yeah, they're fixed now apparently because I don't know, they didn't link it properly. Time was with the photographer when they came in, and I think the guys probably just went for lunch and shit was all on. Like the panels were
I don't
off
know.
the speakers and so on. Yeah,
I got
yeah.
some
If you want to
mad,
go to that podcast and watch it, we got some mad hate for it, but
yeah, not from the people viewing it. Well, I guess people viewing us, but from the companies involved.
Yeah, that poor little salt on it for sure.
Look, I still hold to the fact, like, I'm the amateur here, and I saw it immediately. Like, how the hell did you leave it like that? And, like, have pictures taken and then repost it? And
Be
anyway,
proud of it.
good luck.
And
Hope
then
it's
I
fixed.
see, yeah, I hope it's fixed too, man.
I don't think I was even living here at the time, so it was what,
No,
a year ago.
this is more than a year ago now.
I mean,
Yeah, this is more than a year ago now.
another thing Alicia Keys and was it Swiss Beats did is they have very nice 50s in their garage underneath that house.
Hmm.
Like with their Ferraris and stuff, and they have a couch, and then they have some 50s standing there for like when you're chilling with your car in your like underground Superman layer garage.
It's the best speaker to have in there.
Yeah.
Or the 90s, I guess, but if you got those in the living room. So,
I mean, yeah, like MM says, just ask my dealer to ask corporate to sell me an Encore. Yeah, go for it. Absolutely. That's the only way to get it. Like, I'm not...
Hold on a second here.
Sorry about that, everybody. I muted him on my. That was ear piercing. Wait, what was I talking about? Didn't they use that house for Tony Stark's house in Iron Man? No, I don't think so. It looks very similar. Craig says speakers in garages. Yeah, but also, like, their garage is about the same size as my house, right? Like, and it's underground in, like, sort of this tunnel thing where, like, if I'm not mistaken, from the drive, you sort of drive under the house, and then the other side is open to the sea. And it's like, it's pretty crazy. Okay, good luck. He's gonna have to do something. So it's to call it a garage is almost demeaning to garages. Like, I have a garage, which is essentially like a roof with square box walls, and it fits 2 cars, and that's it, and some like miscellaneous keepsakes and tools and stuff. Like, their garage holds what, 12 cars at least. Holy crap, 2 years ago. Thank you, Sandeep. Yeah, so it's a thing. I wonder if this is gonna set off more revival products, and not just necessarily because I want older products revived necessarily, although that is cool. I do very much like things like the BeoConnect Encore and that sort of thing to make stuff more compatible. Also, the special edition colors I think are excellent. The cosmic black from the pictures anyway looks amazing. Do I think I'll buy a 9000 again? Not the special edition, right? Like, I don't have that type of money to spend on that. I may buy a secondhand Mark III at some point, but this is all desire to me and next to no functionality. I have a Beosensor too that is essentially, besides the tiniest sort of like indentations, in perfect shape. The floor stand has no indentations whatsoever. That's currently what I use as my CD player. With the Beosensor 2, I can potentially buy a DVD burner and put more than 6 CDs worth of like lossless audio on a DVD, and it'll play it. So it's kind of like I don't have any utility for it other than the desire because it looks good. I mean, I had one and I enjoyed owning one. I would highly advise owning one, especially if you still have CDs. Both Beosensor 2 and Beosound 9000. But I would probably buy one more likely broken just so it's cheap and I can hang it on the wall as some art.
Yo, back.
Yay. You alright? You didn't get mugged or something?
No, I'm trying to see again. I don't know. She said the unit number.
I do like the sort of full-on early 2000 Matrix aesthetic going on in this in these pictures and in these ads.
What do you mean? Oh, with the shades?
Yeah, but also the chick with the like the black glossy leather, the sort of black leather kind of pants. Like this screams the Matrix, right? Like the first picture.
Hmm.
I mean, for like those around, what was it, 19, let's say 98, 2005, had a real aesthetic in films. Like the sort of monochrome everything.
Hmm.
Like the very heavily reliance on sort of shades of black. And I
Very
still think,
hospital, I guess.
I mean, there was white, but there was a lot of, like, different shades of black were used everywhere. Like, even if you look at this chick, right, like, in the ad, like, she has black shoes, which are a different shade of black than her pants, which are a different shade of black than her t-shirt.
Hmm.
Like, everybody was still drinking and smoking everywhere.
It was good for you back then.
There's an aesthetic to that time period. And, like, if you look at, like, Neo in the Matrix, whenever they were in the Matrix, there was, like, that sort of monochrome. Like, there was a lot of gray and black and that sort of thing. And I
Hmm.
really personally like that. It's
No, it looks cool. I think that they've set a nice scene for it, in my opinion. Is this?
I mean, yeah, that aesthetic, that was like the top level of cool in the day. And I
Hmm.
think that I mean, it is from that era, so they probably took some inspiration from that. It's yeah, it's I like that. I mean, here in my house, like my baseboards are black, so I still like very much like that. Like the trim around this door eventually will be black. Like the door is going to be replaced too. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave the door white or not. Sorta, yeah, but like that was more Walkman era. Like the Matrix was more sort of like that weird mini disc era. Yeah, because in terms of like technical revolution, like all of a sudden you had something that was fully shockproof, but then you had your inline control with like text, and it was a thing, right? Like it's still kind of cool. Wait, are you? Oh God, you're mute.
Am I muted? There we
Oh
go.
no, you should be
I'm
okay.
muted. Yeah, I
What?
muted myself here just in case the phone rang. But yeah, I would definitely just consider buying that black box or put like we need to make pressure on the dealers to put pressure on B&O to make this a real product in portfolio or just I guess an as accessory. I think this is a way more important product than a BLI or Bio Living Intelligence is.
Yes,
Way
absolutely.
way more important.
Willie, are those B&O charging pads on your table? No, they're 8,000 tops.
Yeah, these are the old B&O coasters. I actually have them in here as well. Yeah, these are the old school B&O. Can we focus on it?
To put your hand behind it.
There we
Yeah,
go. Yeah, these are the old B&O coasters. I got 6 of them.
they're the
But I
top
do have
caps
the
of
charging pads.
8,000s.
I have a charging pad by my nightstand, and I have one here, black and white, I guess, so they disappear into. It's actually sitting right beside the BeoTime in the corner of the screen. You can see it beside the little Explorer. But yeah, I had 3 of them that rotted out, those rubbers, so I had to change them. I actually had to cut my own closed cell phone pads. See, I didn't do a great job at it, but
Mm.
it's it's not the OG anymore. But the metal's still good, obviously. So I'm not throwing this to garbage. And they're a great coaster, man. They've been a part of my life for the. It was one of my actually that was the first purchase I've ever made was I bought the B&O coasters in the B&O store, because back then I just started in the architectural firm, and my first paycheck wasn't much. These were $35. I'm like, holy fuck, that's a lot of money for a coaster back in 2002. And now it's just an unfixable addiction for me. So,
I mean, the Matrix. I think they took inspiration from it. Actually, I know they did. It's like it's so iconic and monochrome, and like the color settings.
Well, it's always the green subtone when they were in the Matrix, right? Versus the real colors.
But everything else is gray, black, and sort of like a weird shade of white, right? Like white is more the accent than anything else.
Yeah. I remember it was such a good movie, man.
I mean, the first movie especially still holds up to this day.
Oh, hell yeah. By a long shot, in my opinion.
I mean, did they know in the early 2000s that essentially would be like peak culture? Because I don't think much has gotten really that much better since then. Like in a pure aesthetic sense, right? Like nothing really has gotten any prettier or more. We just are way even more into computers and phones and that sort of thing. But there's nothing really pretty built since then. Cities still look exactly the same. It's all glass. It's all tall skyscrapers.
It's always the same, yeah.
I mean, it's
I love that movie.
Weirdly, man. Another set of films from that era that holds up perfectly is Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
I mean, in both films, like The Matrix and Lord of the Rings, use CGI, but they use it correctly. Like ever since then, like everybody just messed it up and overdoes it.
Well, the movies nowadays are just absolutely atrocious. Like, I went to see the Civil War. I wish I could, I wouldn't. I would rather not even ask for a refund, but my time back. That's how bad it was. But that's the lesson now with all the movies. I'd rather, honestly, instead of paying $30 for a ticket to go see a shit movie, I'd rather watch something on Amazon Prime or whatever and watch it at home with much better sound, much better picture. No nonsense. If I were to recommend now, watch a Fallout show on Amazon Prime. Absolutely awesome. And it's Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. All the stickers on the fridge are fucking everything. It's got everything. Pictures, insane. Sound is insane. It's gorier than shit. It's a perfect fucking man show, dude. Very, very well done. And it's like this post-apocalyptic thing going on. And yeah, highly recommended. Currently, I'm on episode 4. I think there's or 3, and there's 9 altogether for this season, and that's it. So I highly recommend watching it.
Yeah, I think I may actually rewatch The Matrix and/or like Lord of the Rings pretty soon. I also feel like I've already watched 3 times now the new Top Gun, but I feel like watching that again.
It's a great movie too. I've actually never seen Lord of the Rings. I can't believe I'm admitting that live on air, but I never did it. I never gotten into it. But I might just. I think we have the Blu-rays in the shop, so I'll just take them home.
Sort of forget the fantasy part. Like, don't treat it as fantasy, but it's more an archetypical story of taking on a huge burden to relieve the rest of the world. It's almost in many ways a religious story. Because like the Hobbit, like the smallest person, right, takes on the biggest evil in the world and must carry it to its end. It's like this one guy is essentially responsible for like defeating evil, although there is help. It's truly epic. in the literal sense of epic, right? Like it's an epic picture. It's like the books are too.
What box do we recommend? You know what? Quite honestly, there's. Let me see if I can find the one that actually BN also recommends. It's not. They're not that crazy. Yeah, they're super cheap nowadays. They're super cheap. But I would go with something that I don't know even what brands, quite honestly, like the ones that that we carry. I can't even find, but they're about $35. The one that is actually in the BNO's manual for, I think it's Beolab 5 with the core connection. It's let me post this link and see if we can. Oh no, it doesn't let me. It's too long of a link. That's why. But yeah, they're like $20, man. 20, $30 at the most. At the end of the day, you're converting zeros to ones from light to electrical pulses, or electrical 0 to 1. So I don't think it really makes any difference. There's no DAC in it. If you have a digital to analog converter, then it's a different story. Then I would look at some brand names. But for just going from optical, like I said, from light to electrical, you can just go with something that is 30, $40 at the most. That's it. Let's see. Let me go to the Dropbox because I think I had saved it in my Dropbox. Where would I have saved it in my Dropbox is another question.
That's what happens when you have too much storage. It's like you have too many files.
I have a lot of files. No, I just saved the installation poster for the BLab 8. So I was looking that on BioWise. So
the Serge, if you like the Gentleman series, that's based off of film. And I would advise watching the film too. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but the Gentleman film is a Guy Ritchie film, and it has a bunch of like British Hollywood stars in it that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Like Hugh Grant is somehow a badass, and Colin Farrell, who is actually kind of a troublemaker, but like he suits the role.
I'm trying to see what other optical. Yeah, dude, they're really cheap. They're really cheap. Like if you go optical to SPDIF, they're $10, $15 at the most. Once you get into the optical to analog, then it's different. But then now you're betting on DACs inside these little cheap Amazon devices. So
I have to indoctrinate at least 20% of you a lot more. Like Lord of the Rings, how can it be sort of okay? Or, nah, I don't like amazing things. How dare you? You must like this. You cannot have a different opinion.
I've seen Lord of the Rings long time ago, but I think I didn't see any of the other ones. Because there's like 3 of them now, right? Because I remember when like the third part came. I don't know if it was for the Harry Potter or for that, but like they had the whole fucking 10 hours in the movie theater that you could go see all 3 movies together.
Well, so there's 3 Lord of the Ring films, and then there is 3 The Hobbit films. Disregard The Hobbit, kind of. Like they're in terms of a story, they're okay, but like they overdid the CGI. They kind of fucked up the beginning because Peter Jackson was initially not on it, and then they had to call him back to fix it, and that sort of thing. So, The Hobbit is, if you're just want to watch a movie that's okay and sort of holds up, but the CGI is really bothersome in my opinion. But all the original Lord of the Rings films are amazing. Like to the point where most of the practical effects are actually practical, right? Like there's a scene in it where like Aragon, Viggo Mortensen, uh, is supposed to have a dagger thrown at him, like, but like the way it's shot, right? Like they're supposed to throw it here, but the stunt guy that throws it actually misses and throws it directly at him, and he like whacks it out of the air with his own sword in real life. Like this is not an accident.
That's cool.
Like the actors went nutty over this. Like Viggo Mortensen, like this shoot took like 2 years. He like walks around with a sword all day. Also, he went to the pub with a sword on his hip, right? Because it's like, well, I'm this like character now. I want to know what it's like to carry a sword everywhere.
Probably a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but everybody took it like super seriously. So, like,
Hmm.
it's amazing in how it holds up.
Yeah, there's a lot of good movies that still hold up, but the new stuff that's coming out, man, it's just, I don't know. I think the way that the industry's moving, I think they spend more money on doing these 1 hour show episode things that they suck you into for a few weeks at a time, per se, than producing a reasonably entertaining movie nowadays.
Well, it's more volatile to do a movie, right? Like even Disney has been handed their ass in their last three Marvel movies. I think they're
Yeah, but I think they're going full woke, and that's probably the reason as well why
sure,
they're.
but they've also noticed that they needed to get to something like $1 billion to break even for each individual film, and I think they were stuck at like 400 million or something.
Oh yeah, no, they eat a jar of sauerkraut on that for sure.
I
Like
mean,
it
so
was not fun. But that's just the masses speak. As people are tired of this shit. I'd rather watch Rambo 4 3 times over than go to a movie nowadays and watch something new. At least there's fuck man, the amount of sauce and pasta that was spilled on that the 50 cal scene, like Jesus Christ, man, it's like shooting up a freaking tomato stand. It was great. Like that's a movie.
well, some things definitely are so bad they're good again.
Oh yeah, like that was just uber funny though, like and ridiculous in the same time. But yeah, speaking of well worth the time, I guess, is check out the Fallout on Amazon Prime. It is definitely worth it. Picture quality wise, sound is very 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 good. I'm very impressed, and also just uh the show is great. The storyline is awesome.
I mean,
So
another Guy Ritchie film that I feel is severely underrated and you don't find that easily with
mhm.
a star-studded cast is Rock and Roller, and that's
I don't
like
think I've ever seen it.
it's it's in the line of Snatch, if you've ever seen
Okay, yeah,
Snatch.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But this is a totally different story. But again, star-studded cast like Ludacris. What's his? Oh God, what's his name? The Scottish guy,
I don't know.
the guy from 300.
Oh yeah, I don't know his name, but I know what you're saying.
Like this. Oh, anyway, the star Gerard Butler. That's it.
Oh, okay.
He's like sort of the main guy, but there's so many people you recognize from everywhere, and it's an amazing film.
2008.
Yeah, there's like it's not CGI. It's more of a gangster film, but
Mm,
it's a sort of a gangster film in the sense that uh, it doesn't really make sense to a lot of the gangsters how it operates, and they find out.
hmm.
Like, what is it? Ray Fiennes is in it, I think, or what's his name? No, that's this is a different
Yeah, I'll
guy.
maybe give it a watch. Why not?
I would say that very
Looks
highly
enticing.
regarded. Like it's very fun to watch. Very much
Yeah, we
recommend.
watched the Prey movie with my girlfriend the other day. She got very into it. That's with the Predator before the time, like in the like you were chasing after the natives and shit.
Yeah. Also, there's
That
like a
was
weird bunch of Russian mobster scenes in there. That's
oh yeah.
these days kind of hit home, but it's done in that sort of Guy Ritchie way, where it's sort of like this sort of makes sense. It's kind of haha, but this could also very much be true.
Most of the stuff probably is inspired by something that is half true, at least.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. There's 68 people watching, so if everybody just goes and asks their dealer tomorrow if they're closed, then do it on Tuesday, and ask about the what is it?
BeoConnect
BeoConnect
Encore.
Encore. BeoConnect Encore is a very, very important thing to make sure that it comes and hits the production line, because that's a game changer. I want one, bro. So people need to help me out too. You help everybody out, even if you don't need it. Just ask for it, because then there's somebody after you that comes in that looks for it, and they can have it for them.
Yeah, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.
And yeah, leave a
well,
like.
likes
subscribe.
more than subscribing.
Exactly.
The liking actually really helps.
Yeah.
I still love you guys because we made it to 50% of people saying Lord of the Rings is amazing, great, and still holds up. This is the only thing where I'm going to go totalitarian. Like, I ban you all if this stuff is...
Everybody must watch the Lord of the Rings by the...
And podcast. Like it. And like it. Love
and
it.
Like it. All right.
We cannot coexist if you do not.
But yeah, if we can, let's ask B&O to get that in production, because this would be, like I said, a godsend to a lot of people, and I'm sure there's a lot of you that are watching that have a 9000.
There's still thousands of them out there, so I mean, you're more likely to replace your speakers than you are to replace your Beosound 9000.
I would agree. And we now currently have to run them, into the USB-C of the theater with a aux out from the 9000 with no control. So this would be a immense.
Yeah, you flip back on your remote.
Yeah, no, this would be immense if it could be done through the theater as well. But yeah, let's send out our emails to the dealers and see what we can stir up, because I would really like to get this past the 200 limited product thing going on.
Yeah.
That's
thank
all
you
I got.
all. If you're Dutch, hope you had a good King's Day and not totally wasted. And
thanks for watching.
See you all next week, hopefully. Bye.
Bye.
This button.